Association for details.
Like and follow News 1226 on Facebook for the latest up-to-date coverage near you.
News 12 on your side. Breaking news.
Breaking this afternoon, Augusta Mayor Wrdw Jr. announced masks will be required in public spaces.
That's right. This takes effect in an hour at 6 o'clock for the next 30 days. The mayor handed out a packet to reporters after the news conference. Celeste Springer was at the announcement and has been going through that information. She's live at the municipal building and will walk us through it all.
Yeah, the mayor gave out this packet at the meeting today. It goes into infection rates in Richmond County and in Georgia. This is after there was almost 4,500 new cases, confirmed cases in the state of Georgia since yesterday, and that was a record high. Now, the ordinance does apply to people, trying to keep my mask on and follow the rules here. The ordinance does apply to private businesses and public places, so that means if you're going to a nail salon, a hair salon, barber shop, you got to wear a mask, and employees are going to be wearing masks too. That being said, there are some exemptions if your child is too young to wear a mask, if you have a medical condition, or if you can't take off a mask by yourself, then you are exempt from this. Mayor Wrdw does say that keeping everyone in Augusta safe is a responsibility that we all bear.
All of my fellow Augustans, there is no vaccine. There is no cure today for COVID-19. People are losing their lives and will continue to do so if we don't be our brothers and sisters' keeper.
Yeah, and the ordinance does apply to, like I said, all private businesses. And in terms of enforcement, well, the mayor talked to the sheriff about that too. Fines for your first offense start at $25, but then if you have following offenses, that can go all the way up to $100. In Augusta, Celeste Springer, on your side.
Thanks, Celeste. Again, that goes into effect today at 6 o'clock for the next 30 days.
And this is the first city in our area to require masks. Places like Savannah, Atlanta, and Columbia, South Carolina have done something similar. Also breaking this afternoon, a 94-year-old woman died in her home today during a house fire. The Aiken County coroner tells us Benny Blount lived in the Belvedere home on Edna Street with her niece. The coroner says she died from smoke inhalation. Her niece got out of the home without any injuries. They say the cause of the fire is still under investigation.
Local deputies need...
With an extended stay inside the house due to the pandemic, people are using their free time to get creative, and it's paying off.
That's right. Wrdw shows us how people across the CSRA are finding new ways to make ends meet.
Being forced to be home and not be at work, you start getting creative.
Will Bridges has wanted to start his own clothing line for years. He says though this pandemic has been challenging, it gave him the time he needed to turn thoughts into action, creating his clothing brand. Last summer,
I needed to sit down and really focus on what was important to me.
He says with people being furloughed from their jobs, there's an urgent need for income. Danica Catrice says she knows this struggle firsthand.
I couldn't let the fear, overcome.
Catrice is a stylist in Augusta, and she says the start of this pandemic left her and her family in a pretty tight spot.
You got to think about yourself and your kids and the future.
So she put pen to paper and got creative. She started selling things like shades, purses, and fur slides.
I always wanted to do a one-stop shop.
She says, who would have known a unique time like this would have given her the push she needed?
It's just kind of me taking baby steps into, that dream that I always had.
They say it's all about making the best of an uneasy time.
You could sit here and have a pity party, or you can go out there and do something to change it.
Tradisha Woodard, on your side.
Pretty cool, finding ways to make money. The pandemic is also forcing us to save money too, Zaina.
I know, and of course get creative. I wish I could do something like that, but I'm just not creative.
Yeah, they're cool though. We'll leave the creativity to them, Riley.
Lake plans for the weekend looking good to go. It is going to be sunny, it's going to be hot, but looking dry for us. We'll have another look at that forecast coming up.
And dolphins and killer whales may have more in common than you think. We'll explain that after the break.
contrary to what the radical had to say. America has been.
The search continues for missing Glee actress Naya Rivera. New security footage shows she and her son were seen on security footage Wednesday morning. From there, they got into a boat. Search crews continue to look for Rivera, presuming she's dead. Ventura County Sheriff's Department says there are no signs of foul play. Authorities presume she's victim of a potential drowning. Well, ever been to the store where they only take card or exact payment? Well, that's because there's a coin shortage. That's because retail stores closed down due to COVID-19 and U.S. coin circulation basically stopped. The U.S. Mint also had to cut production of coins because they had to cut staff. But bankers say one way to help trade your coins, or one way to help is to trade your coins for cash.
If you have large amounts of coin at home, take them to your bank and have them run. And then just get the cash. You still have the same amount of money, and we have coins to circulate out.
The Federal Reserve says they expect the shortage to end as the economy opens up more. The only problem, it's not clear when that will be.
We're now hearing from Big Ten officials after the news conference. The Power 5 conference will only play conference games. Ohio's athletic director speaking out about the decision.
There's a chance we might not have football guys. So we've shifted to how can we get our kids on the field? How can we help field hockey play? How can we help soccer play? How can we help volleyball play? That's why we went to the conference games on.
As for the SEC's Missouri athletic director did tell reporters that a potential conference-only schedule could be decided upon by late July. Wimbledon may be canceled for this year, but the players are still going to be paid. All players who would have been eligible for the 2020 tournament will receive funds from an over $12 million pot. Wimbledon says it wanted to help support those players hurt financially by the cancellation of this year's tournament, and the payout from their insurance policy allows them to do just that. The 2020 tournament was originally scheduled to run from June 29th to July 12th.
You will now be able to see McDonald's at Walt Disney in Florida with solar panels. The restaurant has a solar panel roof, plant-covered walls, and stationary bikes that allow customers to generate electricity. That actually lights up the Golden Arches. It'll serve as the learning hub for McDonald's to test solutions for reducing energy and water use. It's the first McDonald's to do just that. Walmart is planning to unveil its own member program. It's called Walmart Plus, and it's being compared to Amazon Prime. The program is set to launch in July. Yearly subscriptions will be $98, and that includes same-day delivery and fuel discounts. Walmart is already experimenting with one-day delivery.
Forget the freshman 15. Many Americans are dealing with the COVID-19. A go-to comfort food seems to be chocolate. Sales have been on the rise since mid-March. Between March and June, people bought $3.7 billion worth of chocolate. That's over a 6% increase compared to last year.
Well, we are disinfecting everything we touch now, but are we cleaning our phones the correct way? We'll break down how after the break.
And we are starting to track some downpours now moving into our northern counties up towards the lake, just north of Lincolnton and north of downtown Washington and Wilkes County. Give you a look ahead at the storm chances the rest of this evening coming up.
Wednesday through Saturday, 10 to 6.
When Arby's made its new junior sandwich, they had to choose between using fancy stuff like brioche buns or making them 2 for $4. Arby's chose both. No one tells Arby's what to do. Arby's, we have the meat.
Watch 1226 on your side, wherever you go.
News 12 on your side. Breaking news.
Breaking news tonight, a mask mandate in the city of Augusta is now in effect. Mayor Hardy Davis just making the announcement a couple of hours ago. Celeste Springer is live outside the municipal building. Celeste, people are now required to wear masks in public spaces, but how does the city plan to enforce this? Yeah, so the mayor spoke with the sheriff about that, and deputies are going to be the one enforcing it. And that being said, it's going to be enforceable in public places, government buildings, and private businesses. So restaurants, grocery stores, hair salons, and nail salons. You got to wear a mask in there, and so do employees. As for the fines, a first offense is going to run you a $25 ticket. After that, if it happens multiple times, it can go up to $100. And Mayor Davis is pleading with people to consider their loved ones.
You have family members, you've got loved ones. Think about them. Think about the person that you love and the person that you care about deeply. These are not just numbers. These are names. These are faces. These are people. These are loved ones that we all share. These are people we attend church with. These are people we work with. These are people that we care about.
Yeah, that ordinance just went into place, but the mayor is giving a grace period of 10 days where warnings are going to be given out. After that grace period, we're going to start seeing fines, though.
All right, thanks, Celeste. The mayor mentioned a big push for this ordinance is the rising numbers in Richmond County. So far, there have been over 1,500 cases here and 60 deaths. More than 250 patients have been hospitalized, and the infection rate is now 1.49%, which is considered critical. South Carolina bars and restaurants must stop serving alcohol after 11 o'clock every night. The new executive order goes into effect tomorrow night, but does not apply to sales in stores. Businesses who break the rules will get a warning before getting their license revoked. The new order comes as COVID cases and hospitalizations keep rising. Over 1,700 office. An elderly woman is dead after a house fire in North Augusta today. This was the scene on Edna Street off Edgefield Road. Firefighters got to the home around 11:30 this morning. The coroner tells us 94-year-old Vinnie Blount was inside with her niece. Her niece got out safely, but Blount died on scene from smoke inhalation. All of our local hospitals are reporting an increase in cases. With more antibody testing in our area, we're learning just how many people in the river region have been exposed to coronavirus. While some might think they had it without knowing, new data shows that's not true for most people in our area. Laura Puglisi puts the numbers into perspective.
How many of you have thought back to a time recently where you felt really sick, but you didn't get tested and assumed it was probably the coronavirus? A lot of people. And while cities across the country are finding that's the case, here at home we're seeing a pretty shocking trend. The rate of infection is a lot lower compared to other places.
For the first time, antibody testing is open to the public. All you have to do is donate blood, platelets, or plasma. Ashley Whitaker at Shepherd Blood Center says they've been testing select people since May.
We only had, 2 to 3 positive antibody results from our COVID-19 antibody test. That is surprising information, especially when you hear that a great number of people feel that they did have it.
Out of 400 tests, only 3 people had the antibodies. In a similar test launched by the Medical College of Georgia and AU Health, Columbia County teachers and first responders were tested for antibodies. Out of 989 county employees, only 2.83% had been infected with coronavirus. Researchers estimate only 0.02% of the county was infected. Cities like New York and Boston have reported a 10 to 20% infection rate. This means most of us have not been exposed to COVID-19. Experts say that's good and bad news. The good news, the low infection rate following the state shutdown could mean it worked. The bad news, cases could continue rising. In Richmond County, they've increased 108% since June 8th.
We're hoping that as we increase those tests, we will have increased positives so that those people will then be able to donate convalescent plasma.
The more people with antibodies, the more convalescent plasma, and that could help save those fighting for their lives in our local hospitals. Laura Puglisi, on your side.
While they do need more convalescent plasma, they also just need donors, especially O-positive and O-negative donors. The Blood Center is facing a shortage unlike any other here, as most blood drives at schools and businesses were canceled due to the virus. A former Richmond County deputy accused of murder was denied bond today. The judge calling Jason Cunningham a threat to himself and others. Cunningham is charged in the murder of Nicole Harrington. Prosecutors say Cunningham was having an affair with her. He's accused of shooting her at a downtown Augusta parking deck, then leaving her for dead. Cunningham was arrested the next day after an almost 8-hour standoff. What happens if the people taking your 911 calls are inexperienced? Our I-team continues to investigate high turnover rate and dangerous mistakes inside Aiken County 911.
We are tracking a few thunderstorms in our northern and western counties. They are heading towards the metro. Give you an update on radar and your weekend coming up.
To a gorgeous look outside. This is over Whiskey Road. Weather now.
Riley, there's no need to cancel any weekend plans. Mostly clear skies.
Yeah, looking good for Saturday and Sunday for any outdoor plans you do have. This evening, we are tracking the chance for a few thunderstorms. Not expected to be too widespread, but you can actually see those cloud tops from the storms towering from our gateway to Grovetown cam looking towards the lake. Temperatures have been very hot this afternoon. We actually did hit a high of 96. It still feels like 103 even after 6 o'clock thanks to the humidity. Now this weekend, we are expecting some relief from the humidity on the backside of this cold front. So as this moves through overnight, on the other side of it for the weekend, we should see some drier conditions out there. But up ahead of this front, we are tracking a line of thunderstorms. There has been sporadic severe thunderstorm warnings across North Georgia and the upstate. So there will be that potential for some of these storms to produce some strong wind, maybe even some small hail. A closer look at northern Wilkes County, the heaviest rain now between Tignal and Rail, just north of downtown Washington. Nothing severe at the moment, but these are definitely some good downpours, producing some very heavy rain out there. A few more strikes of lightning through these storms about to cross over into Tolliver County, so heads up Crawfordville. Could see a few strikes of lightning over the next few minutes. Our storm chances are going to be with us even after sunset tonight, up until around 1, 2, 3 a.m. As this cold front moves through, we're going to keep that chance for just a sporadic shower or storm. But this is pretty cool, and actually tomorrow morning we will have good viewing conditions for this. So this is the Comet Neowise we've been talking about this week. Blake Burge actually captured this with his camera over Evans, Georgia early this morning. He said you could see it with the naked eye between 5:20 and 5:55 a.m. Now the trick to seeing this, you obviously want to get out in the country where there's no light pollution, and you have to get in an area that has a clear view of the horizon. Blake did mention that it was pretty low to the horizon when he saw it, so you got to have a good scape of the horizon if you want to see it. 75 degrees for a low tonight. Remember those scattered storms this evening, turning more isolated after midnight. We should be dry by daybreak Saturday. It is just going to be very sunny and hot tomorrow, but not expecting much in the way of storms. So the good news is, if you have lake plans, I would definitely keep them. We're not expecting much in the way of storms on Sunday either. But it is going to be very hot, and the UV index is going to be running in the extreme range. We're talking all the way up to 11, both Saturday and Sunday afternoon. So be sure to protect yourself from the sun, wear that sunscreen, stay hydrated. It's July. We know the drill. Luckily, the weekend does look dry. Later next week, there's going to be a chance for a few storms, but not looking too bad.
Tonight, the I-Team continues its Aiken County 911 investigation. This week, we showed you how mistakes inside Aiken County 911 Dispatch Center is costing critical minutes to save lives. You heard from families and Sheriff Hunt. Tonight, Liz Owens talks to national experts who say this is a problem across the country.
Yes, but 911 is a local entity, meaning the problem must be fixed locally. Turnover for dispatchers is a national problem, fueled by stress, low pay, and long hours. But locally, Aiken County's turnover rate for dispatchers is the worst.
Latrell Wingard lost her 3-year-old son, Jay-Sean Edwards, to a house fire in April. A harrowing call for help no mother wants to relive. Or hear this: help going to the wrong place.
District 25 New Ellington Fire Department and All Mutual Aid, 2085 Williston Road for a structure fire.
Our I-Team investigation found the mistake by the Aiken County dispatcher cost 20 life-saving minutes. Jay-Sean died inside.
Cardiac arrest. We need an ambulance immediately. Sir, you don't need to keep repeating you need an ambulance immediately. I need to know what's going on. What do you mean cardiac arrest? Cardiac arrest. Having a heart attack. Get somebody out here. Sir, why are you yelling at me? I'm not yelling at you. It is taking you longer to take this call because you keep repeating yourself.
For Frank and Brenda Roberts, they lost their mother they knew after a heart attack turned into a brain injury last year. They blame critical life-saving minutes lost to the Aiken County dispatcher coding the call incorrectly and not sending the proper manpower to save Barbara Roberts.
If there had been adequate help dispatched where the paramedic would have had other hands, somebody has to do CPR. CPR at all times. Somebody has to ventilate the patient at all times to make sure they're getting oxygen to their brain.
Barbara Roberts now lives in a nursing home receiving full-time care. Our investigation found in Aiken County, most dispatchers are new on the job. The sheriff hired 19 new dispatchers since January of last year. 8 of the 19 have left, averaging only 3.5 months on the job. In all, the I-team found a total of 24 dispatchers left the county since January of last year. Compare that to Columbia County, which lost 9 dispatchers last year. NENA, or National Emergency Number Association, says burnout is a problem nationwide.
Why is there such a big turnover rate with dispatchers?
Each year there's around 18,000 turnovers in 911. Another aspect of this is just the stress of the job. It's just a lot of stress.
Brian Fontes is the CEO of NENA. His co-worker, Allison Heinze, is their operation manager and a former 911 dispatcher herself.
When they are hired in, oftentimes they are being paid the same type of wage that somebody in a much less stressful environment is paid.
Nationwide median salary for a 911 dispatcher is just under $42,000 a year. The I-team found that is much higher than what our local agencies pay on both sides of the river. In Georgia, Columbia dispatchers make around $33,000 a year. In Richmond County, just over $32,000. The state of South Carolina average is $33,000 for 911 dispatchers. Aiken County tells us their pay starts below that at $32,500. Sheriff Michael Hunt tells us that wage reflects a 10% pay raise given to dispatchers last year.
Pay in public safety jobs is just low. Now, we've made great progress.
Have you pushed for more positions?
We have not pushed for positions in the last couple of years because, quite frankly, where we're going to hire them from. It's a stressful job. You know, we don't have them standing in line wanting to be a dispatcher.
Aiken County has seen a nearly 7% population increase in a decade, but no new dispatch positions have been added to the budget in the last 5 years.
But quite frankly, when you look at the amount of calls that we dispatch, those folks do a good job. They're human, and we're going to make a mistake or two.
911 dispatch is a local entity, meaning every county or city can run their emergency dispatch. Aiken County requires dispatchers to be E911 certified, but the I-team found only 1 dispatcher is currently certified. Aiken also doesn't use an emergency medical dispatch system, or EMD. The system guides EMD certified dispatchers through a series of questions, which helps them recognize certain medical conditions to properly dispatch the call. It's considered the industry standard. Richmond County uses it and requires its dispatchers to hold EMD certifications.
Why is it that Aiken County doesn't have any dispatchers that have that certification?
Well, it's not that we don't want to, and we would like to, and I think that's what we'll push toward in the future. But we're simply trying to get applicants that we feel are qualified in here.
You really don't have a lot of money in there to train people.
Well, we've come a long ways in that line item also.
NENA says on top of the low pay, training differences, and the stress of talking to people on the worst day of their lives, you can see where the mental health load gets overwhelming.
The minute you answer that phone, you've got somebody's life in your hands. Mental health is one of the biggest reasons why we're losing people. It's not because they don't like doing the job. It's because they can't process all of the things that they've had to deal with.
Did I copy correctly that you didn't know entrapment? Confirmed entrapment. Copy.
To add to the stress and burnout from hearing calls like that, many dispatchers lack the mental health resources they need to cope through calls like that. Liz Owens, on your side.
A brand new station for the Augusta Fire Department officially opened for service today. The fire chief, Mayor Davis, and other city officials celebrating this morning with a ribbon cutting. The new fire station 2 is on Telfair Street. It's Augusta Fire's first new station in 8 years. The $3 million project comes with a new tech room and communication system. Record-breaking unemployment numbers, billions of dollars in benefits, but
Services.
lately we've heard the same data. Unemployment claims
claims are going down, but the state is still paying more people than ever before. New data out shows the Georgia Department of Labor has paid $8.5 billion since March. And as Sydney Heiberger reports, other studies show our job market is recovering far slower than others.
The good news is we are moving in the right direction. The Georgia Department of Labor says that the number of claims from April to May actually decreased by 38%. But studies show that while Georgia is recovering, it's just not happening as fast as other states. A new report by WalletHub shows Georgia comes in dead last in terms of unemployment claim recovery, when taking the number of claims from the start of the pandemic to now and comparing it with that same time period last year. The Peach State sits at a nearly 4,000% increase. But officials from the Department of Labor say the study doesn't paint the whole picture.
One of the statistics that's amazing to us is that for a state our size, we are processing the fourth largest amount of claims in the nation.
More specifically, 2.9 million claims have been filed since the start of the pandemic. Kersha Cartwright says the study also doesn't account for the number of claims that are invalid.
When you go back and you look at that, you're looking at a much lesser number.
GGOL says they've paid out 91% of unemployment claims. Interestingly, Jim Stiff, the president of the region's Goodwill, attributes that high payout plus the $600 CARES Act benefits as one of the reasons the number of job seekers at Goodwill has actually decreased during the pandemic.
That CARES Act federal benefit allows individuals to have, in some ways, more money than they made with their employer before they got laid off.
But with the federal government stopping their unemployment boosts next week, Stiff anticipates Goodwill's Job Connection is about to see unprecedented numbers.
We believe since the Great Depression, the coming months are going to be the greatest wave of unemployment that we've experienced in modern history.
Reporting in Augusta, Sydney Heiberger on your side.
Some perspective, though, Georgia's unemployment rate in April was 12.6%. That dropped to 9.7% in May, making it one of the lowest in all of the Southeast.
Try to cut the grass early tomorrow morning because tomorrow afternoon is going to be downright hot. High temperatures reaching up to 97 here in Augusta. We'll have another look at that 7-day forecast coming up.